Okay, let's do problem 228. Some ranges. Here we're given integer array of numbers which are sorted, and we have to put them in different ranges. So example 1, we have 0, 1, 2, 4, 5, 7, and 0, 1, 2 are consecutive, so we put them in 0 to 2, and 4, 5 are also consecutive, so we put them in different range, and 7 is on its own, so we just write down 7. So what's the logic for this one? Well, we have to obviously have a for loop that iterates through each of an element. So it's going to be for int I equals 0, I is less than num star length, and then I plus plus. And we do need a starting point of a range. So I'm gonna set start, int start equals num star I. So it will be 0 initially. So where does the range ends? Well, we just have to find if the next number is consecutive, meaning that if the next number is 1 greater than the previous number. And the most efficient way of doing it is putting in while loop and then just saying that num star I plus 1 is equal to num star I plus 1. So if this condition satisfies, we can keep going until the range ends. So here we can just write an I plus plus. So if you look at this example, so our start will be 0 initially, and then so that will be 0 plus 1 equals 1. So we increment it, and then up to, and the while loop will end at this point here. So at that point I will be so that will be 0, 1, 2, so I will be 2. So what we can do here is, if the num star I, which is 2 in this case, is not equal to start point, what we can do is we can just simply so that we do have a however we call it, but we do have to return list of string. So we will have array list, which is called ends or answer, and then we can just say ends dot add start, and then just simply concatenate, and then it will be num star I. But what happens if the while loop doesn't get procced? So if we look at example 2, so we start with start number equals 0, but because the next number is not 1 greater than 0, so it won't be procced. So num star I, which is 0, will be same as the start number. So we can just say else simply n star add start. Just put the number on its own. Obviously it's not really correct way of writing down the code, but we'll fix it when we actually write down the code. And another thing to be careful of, this while loop can be out of range, because when we go to the end of an element, there is no num star I plus 1. So we have to put another condition here that the I is less than the length of an element. Okay, less than length of an element minus 1. Okay, right. So let's write down the code for this one. So we do need a start variable. I'm just gonna call it 0 initially, and then we do need a list of string. Set answer equals new array list, and then we do need a for loop. I is less than num star length, and then I plus plus. Let's see, are we going to use this num star length? Yes, we said we're gonna put another condition in within while loop, so we might want to say int length equals num star length. because I don't want to use num star length over and over again because it might slow us down. And then here we can just say start equals num star I, and then we're gonna have a while loop to find out the end of a range. So num star I plus 1 equals num star I plus 1, and then I is less than length minus 1. Why is it minus 1? Well, if it's I is less than length, so this one has an index of say 3, 4, 5, and then the length is 6. So if we go to the last element, this condition would still satisfy, but there is no number after that. So that's why we have to put minus 1 here. And then we just simply do I plus plus, and we say if num star I is not equal to start, we can say ends dot add num start plus, what's the logic, is it? Okay, it's just an arrow, and then num star I, else ends dot add. So there are a couple of ways of doing it, changing integer to string. So we can just say start, one of them is by concatenation, and then we can just return answer. Let's run the test and see if it works. Okay, something went wrong. While num star, so what does it say? Okay, so the thing is, this condition should be first. Should be. Because the while loop won't be procced if this condition doesn't satisfy, so it doesn't have to go through the second condition. So let's run the test again. Okay, it's accepted. Let's submit. Good, it beats 80%, but I do know how to speed this up, because what's really happening when we concatenate the string, we are basically creating another object of string. So here we are essentially making 3 string objects, so it's not really efficient. So instead of doing that, we can use a string builder. So say new string builder, and you can say dot append start dot append arrow dot append num star I, and then after the string builder we have to change to string. And let's run the test. It's passed. Let's submit again. Okay, now it's 100%. Well, so just before we go, this concatenation is also good, but there are a couple of other ways of doing it. It would be using integer to string. You can just do that. Or we can also do string.value of start. Alright, so that's it.